I'm teasing. Okay, go.
Go, Tom.
Like John just said, I'm ready to go either way.
Wow, that's what she said. Anyway, go on.
She said, I
We're
know.
live.
She always says something crazy like that.
Yeah, especially my wife.
Oh, geez, dude. I just got a divorce, bro. So I'm in the free zone right now. All right, man. How's it going, everybody out there? Welcome to the HAMMERFIST podcast. This is episode 82. And we got Professor Sensei John Hackleman with us today. And my friend, producer Archie Tovar and me, Tom Owens. It's only number 12 of our virtual podcast, guys, since this whole COVID-19 started. We're all on camera. We're not inside of a studio, unfortunately. But the good thing is we're starting to learn how to do this virtual podcast, and we're getting to get cool guests like John on, and like last episode we had Gracie on, and we're being able to get guests from all over the world. So I'm liking it a lot. And thanks again, John, for taking the time out of your busy schedule, man. I know you're a busy individual.
Let me just say about busy. Okay. I asked a couple guys to be on I'm not even gonna name them right now because they're just they're like fucking right here on my list. But I asked them to be on my podcast, and a couple people actually said, "No, I'm too busy right now." Okay, let me just say something. I turned around. I asked Tony Robbins to be on my podcast.
Yeah,
nice.
He said, "Yeah, sure." When he was on our podcast a couple weeks ago. Tony Robbins. Tony fucking Robbins.
Yeah.
And some people are busier than him. No, they're trying to. I hate when people try to big league. And I got tomorrow. We're gonna have Anthony Smith on our podcast, and he's the guy that my guy fought.
Yes,
right. Glover just fought him, right?
Hey, there's not too many people that are more busy than fucking Robbins out there trying to save people's lives.
He's like one of the he's the busiest guy I know. We're losing something stupid like, I don't know, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, with our gym and stuff. But so you think that's a lot. He's losing close to $300 million a month.
Wow.
Because of his live shows and everything. It's like, so talk about busy. I mean, we're all busy, but if you look at it relatively, nobody is busier than Tony Robbins. He came on our podcast. So anyone else that says they're too fucking busy, you're just trying to big league me. So fuck you.
That's right. You know what made me stroke? Like what got me super happy the other day is because I've been hitting up all kinds of people, and just like you're just talking about right now, when I sent you a message, it took one message. You don't even know me. I think we met once or twice in Lemoore, like just a hi or a hello. And I sent you one message, man, and I went and took a nap, and I woke up and you had responded and said, sure. And that says it all right there, because I know you're a busy guy. You just got back from a weekend. Where was it, Florida?
Florida. I just got back training my guys, and I just did my class, and I got to go back and do a class. But there's no one too busy. Nobody is too fucking. What my partner on my podcast, he's an orthopedic surgeon with 4 kids, all in different sports, and he does my class. Like 4 times a week, we do a podcast, and he goes to all his kids' games, and he's an orthopedic surgeon. So everybody that says they're too busy, get over your fucking self and quit big leaguing and shit. There's so many big. Anthony Smith, he fought my guy last week, Lionheart.
That fight was sick.
It was, and I asked him to be on my podcast. He didn't go, oh. He just said, yeah, I'd love to. So It's like, it's fine if you don't want to do it. Just say you don't want to do it. Just say, fuck, I don't like you, John. Okay, that's fine.
Right. At least give an excuse.
Don't say you're too busy. Don't big league me like that, man. Because if I'm getting guys like Tony Robbins, Anthony Smith, who fought my guy, I had Glover on yesterday or day before yesterday, but I don't know. But anyway, so what are we talking about? What is this?
You know what? Now
let's talk about relationships or life lessons.
That brings us to self-defense.
Self-defense.
Well,
self-defense. Let me tell you about self-defense.
A little bit of all that, man.
Okay. Our town, right? Let me just tell you guys something. And when it comes to self-defense, if you don't know self-defense and you need it, it's like jumping out of a fucking plane without a parachute. You'll never need it again because you're going to get your fucking ass whooped or killed. Okay? If you get your ass whooped in front of your wife, she's going to fuck the neighbor. You're done. Yeah. Can you imagine your wife's like, that's my husband. They look up to their man to protect them. I don't care if it's 2020. You know, a wife wants her husband to protect her, physically at least. So if you're getting your ass whooped in a Walmart parking lot because you can't fight in front of your wife, I'm just telling you, she will not suck your dick again. So I'm just saying we need to learn how to defend ourselves. Plus, you want to protect your kids. If your kid sees you getting your ass whooped,
even worse.
You try to discipline that kid again. He's gonna look at you and say, "Fuck you! I'll kick your ass too." If you as a man have to learn how to defend yourself. You have to learn how to defend your family. That's first. That should be first before anything else, because you can't put food on their table if you get your ass whooped and you're in a coma with a tracheostomy being turned every 4 hours by a Filipino nurse. You can't feed your family then, right? So we have to be able to do that. That's number one. It's fight or flight. It's fight or flight, not I don't know what else. It's not basketball or flight. It's not football or flight. It's fight or flight. Oh, we got a video going?
Oh, we've been checking out your video. We're still learning this technology, like mixing things in here. So every once in a while you might see a video of yourself stabbing somebody or blocking a knife.
Oh my God. Hey, because it's important.
Speaking of self-defense, John, I know most people that are watching and a lot of the guys that tuned in and hit me up. Yes, the guys that hit me up today, they know you mainly from MMA and from Chuck Liddell and Glover and these other guys. But I know that you started probably when you were, it seems like somebody like you probably started pretty young, 9 years old.
9.
And what was it, Kempo karate that you started with?
Kaji Kempo in Hawaii.
Okay, Kaji Kempo. Do you know Master Harper? He trained at my school and taught Kaji Kempo for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in the valley. Yeah, I know. And he had a Kaju pit for a while.
Yes.
I don't know if he still does, because he was under the pit. Yeah.
He definitely does.
Yeah, he came out to my place and did a couple of affiliations. And we're Kaji Kempo. I started when I was 9, and I came up in Hawaii, and that's where Kaji Kempo started. And Kaji Kempo started as an art, so local people could beat up white people more effectively.
Is that what the deal was, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up there. I know that for a fact. They say it was for self-defense, but nobody was picking on the big locals. They were picking on us. So they wanted to do it more effectively and efficiently. So they put the arts together: karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, kempo, and boxing, right? Kaji Kempo. And they start training in like secret places and like rec centers and shit like that, and practicing all the techniques. Then they go practice them on like military guys downtown on Hotel Street or something and beat the shit out of them. And they perfected their art. It started in 1947 when the Army was, still a lot of military guys were there, after World War II. And that's when Kaji Kempo started. And I started in 1969 or 1970 as a 9-year-old kid. And, so I learned all these techniques, and it's a really tough mentality. It's like a philosophy is animal instinct. And, there's a lot of ground stuff. When it hits the ground, you go down, dig his eyes, and you stomp his head. And there's all kind of crazy shit. I'm like 9 years old, little blonde kid, I just wanted to learn how to fight because I knew they were going to try to take my lunch money in junior high school. I didn't go to a very rough elementary school, but I went to a very rough intermediate or middle school, and I knew what would happen there. I heard horror stories. So I started training like fucking scared. I was training scared. I would go home and put my pillow and train with my pillow, and my instructor, who ended up dying 2001, spent probably 25 years in and out of prison. He was a pretty hardcore guy. And so he was my awakening. He made me tough. My dad gave me a moral compass, My mom gave me fun, always there, gave me security. But my martial arts instructor gave me toughness. Without him, I'd be wearing a floral dress right now, sitting in a corner somewhere, watching fucking The View and rubbing virgin olive oil all over my body. So
sipping on an iced latte,
something. But my instructor, so I want to do that without the crime like my instructor did. He was a criminal. I love him, and I was loyal to him to the end. But he was a criminal. I'm not a criminal. So I want to teach my kids how to be tough, but morally straight. So I'm trying to teach my kids to be very tough, because you never hear Joe Rogan saying, wow, that guy's too tough. That's not good. Okay, you can't be too tough. You can be a tough guy, and that's kind of douchey, but you cannot be too tough of a guy, right? Because life can get tough. And if you're not ready for it, you're going to go down, right? And that's what she said. Anyway, what do you think?
As far as toughness, I have one. As far as toughness, do you make them tough with conditioning, with fighting, with real life fighting? How do you describe making them tough now, right? I mean, there's a few ways I'm sure that you put them through the grind and whatnot. What kind of grind?
That's a good question, because toughness comes mentally as well as physically. And if you have all the mental toughness in the world, that's a great thing to have. But if you don't have the physical toughness or the skill, the competency, you can be very confident because you're mentally tough. But if you don't know how to throw and you don't know how to defend takedowns and shit like that, you can be tough as nails up here, but you're still going to get your ass whooped. You'll just keep coming. You've seen fighters in there that are too tough for their own good, right? So we like our guys to be tough by competency first. So when we teach them the skills, the power, and the conditioning, right, then we don't have to have chat with them about being confident and shit like that all the time, because that comes, right? So we don't want to just tell them to be confident, but not competent. So once you teach them the confidence just comes. My instructor never said, okay, we got to learn about loyalty and discipline and perseverance and all those tenets that are important for a black belt. That's important and all. But he made us fucking tough. There was no kids class or anything back then. We were just beating the shit out of each other and watching him beat the shit out of people. And so with that, my confidence just went like this. So I knew that I was able to walk the street, walk into the school, walk into any dance or club, and with my head, just look at anyone. When you're able to make eye contact with anyone, and you just, hey, what's up, man? How you doing, bro? And you don't have to ever look down. If they stare at you like they like to do in Hawaii, right? We're supposed to look down as a white guy in Hawaii. But when I learned not to, then the confidence builds. I mean, you just go crazy with the confidence. And you don't mad dog. You don't try to mad dog them back. You look at them right in the eye, let them know that, bro, I'm not fucking scared of you, but hey, what's up, man? How you doing? But you say hi. You make it something friendly. Like you walk down the street, someone's giving you a mad dog in you. Look at them. Don't look away, but then give them a nod. Say, hey, what's up, man? How you been? Have a great day, brother. I love your shirt or something like that. So
that changes everything.
Yeah, it does. It changes. It goes from a negative to a positive, but it lets them know, I'm not going to look away from you, bro. I'm not going to look down and avert my gaze. But hey, let's be friends, man. If you don't, let's fucking throw down right now. Let them know that you don't want to throw down, but you will if you have to. So that's how I looked at that.
Hey, that with saying that's true, man, because that's far and few in between when you get that just a friendly stare with a guy walking down the street. Most people, when you look at them, they do look away.
They look away or they stare at you like mad dog you. So one guy's trying to be a tough guy. I don't want to be a tough guy, but I'm not going to look away. I'm not going to be a bitch either. So I'll look right back at you and just say, hey, what's up, man? How you been? Do I know you? You look familiar. Or just make a joke. And usually they're like, and then all of a sudden they're laughing and you walk away.
Yes. Or they give you a nod and that changes everything.
That's a great shirt, bro. I love your shirt, and walk away. I don't know, something random. But just nodding at them will suffice. But don't mad dog, but don't ever look away. That's that.
So
I
do you
love
ever
that
have
attitude.
so as fighters come into your gym and obviously you kind of they're in there because they're either hungry, they're tough, or they got skills, but they're sometimes missing something, right? Because nobody ever comes in there like the 100% package, or maybe they do. Let us know. But how do you handle guys that have different strengths and weaknesses? How do you make them tough, right?
Yeah, by the time I have to work on a lot of people's toughness in different ways. But to be honest, like anybody in the UFC is tough as shit already. By that time, they're already tough. You don't even think about it then. You'll never see a guy in the UFC that's not tough. In fact, you're going to be, I mean, one out of a fucking million maybe are going to be not tough in any MMA fight, any boxing match, anytime you step in a ring or a cage or a mat, anytime there's punching involved or striking involved where they can knock you out. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry about making that guy tough as much.
Right.
You have to work on their skills. So different skills that they might be missing. This skill, maybe they don't have a good, striking. Maybe they don't have good takedown defense. Maybe their conditioning is off. But you don't really have to make them tough. There are parts of a training camp where there's a mental game, a mental aspect where we have to work on. In the street, that's not there because we're not training. There's no street fight lined up, right? It just happens. But an MMA match, you got 12 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever for camp. So there's a lot of mental games there too. So there is some mental toughness involved there. But everybody from Glover to Chuck to Court McGee to Ramsey to Steven Seiler to Antonio Banuelos to Tim Kennedy, everybody has a different way that they want to prepare. But you don't have to make them tough like you do a kid or a beta adult that just joined your gym and he's a beta male and you want to make him an alpha male and not a tough guy alpha male. But when I say alpha male, that means they're willing to protect their family. So to make them that's one thing. But the fighter, it's already there. It's innate in fighters that they're already alphas. We don't have to make them alphas. We just have to teach them how to be more effective alphas.
Hey, when these guys, like say a guy from here, I know you've had several guys from the Central Valley go, that are already amateur fighters and they want to try to move up in the league, go over to train with you guys. How do most of these guys approach you when they step into your gym for the first time? Is there, you ever see an attitude, or they come in pretty humble?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like MMA fighters, kickboxers, boxers not as much. There's a little more attitude with boxers. I don't know why, but not as much as there used to be. It used to be a lot more attitude. Now it seems like boxers are adapting more of a MMA. They're seeing that you can be classy and you don't have to be trash talking all the time. But I've never had a guy, a fighter, wannabe fighter, or a fighter that wants to train with me come in with any kind of attitude but respect and the ability, the wanting to learn kind of thing. But yeah, they don't come in, and we have too much history already. It's like, what are you're gonna be tougher than Chuck? You're gonna be tougher than Glover? What are you gonna show me? So they come to learn. So I really respect them. They respect me. It's not run like a lot of schools. It is run more like a martial arts school. I train my fight team exactly like I train my martial arts school, and they have to treat me a certain way, and they have to treat each other a certain way. And like you never see my fighters act like a fucking dipshit in a cage or before a fight talking that kind of shit. It just won't happen. They won't be on the team anymore. So I get nothing but respect, and I appreciate that, and I thank God every day that I am who I am, and I get the respect that I should from everybody, from new fighters to Stipe Miocic and the world champions, DC and shit like that. I get the respect, and that's all. I think that's all. I pay homage to God and to my instructor. If it wasn't for him, like I said, I wouldn't have respect right now. I'd be wearing a fucking floral dress watching The View.
Right. The man upstairs, we owe it all to him, that's for sure. I wanted to ask you a little bit. You speak about your instructor now, Master Harper. When he was at my school, he spoke very highly of a gentleman named Cijo.
Yeah.
Who is this exactly? Who is Sijo to you?
It's a broken lineage, and Kaja Kempo wasn't full of Miyagi instructors. It wasn't for a lot of Japanese systems like Shotokan or Gojo Ryu and stuff like that. It wasn't like that. There's a lot of criminality and thuggery in the Kaja Kempo past. And then they tried to soften it up. That's why it's Sijo. It's not supposed to be Sijo. It's supposed to be Great Grandmaster. So Great Grandmaster was changed to Sijo because they brought in some softer Chinese kung fu and stuff after I was already a kid. Like when I was a kid, we didn't have that. It was Great Grandmaster Emperado. His name was Emperado.
Okay.
So now they call him Sijo because, they tried to soften up the art back in, I don't even know what year it was. But then we kind of factioned off. Like I never went with that. I never went with that group. I stayed with like a little more hardcore group, and we stayed with all American terminology. And then the Chinese guys use Siju and Sifu and Sigung and stuff like that. So that's Emperado, and Emperado he would be over my instructor, and that was back in the. That was like the late 50s, early 60s, and there was no Siju back there. He was Grandmaster back then. It was all American. You're either an instructor, a chief instructor, a professor, a master, a grandmaster, or a great grandmaster. So it wasn't. There was no Sifu, Sigung, or Sensei. It was because we were an American art. Because we were. It was made from Hawaii. So anyway, Sifu or Great Grandmaster Emperado was one of the 5 founders of Kaja Kempo. Him and his brother Joe Emperado. His name was Adrian Emperado. Then there was Joe Emperado, and then there was a bunch of other guys that brought in the boxing and the stuff like that. I don't really stay on the history of it too much because when I came up, my instructor was kind of a lone. He was in trouble all the time, going to jail, in and out. So he was kind of like on his own thing. But it was Kaja Kempo, and we did the same tournaments, the same techniques, the same philosophy, the same blood and guts training, the same no pulling punches kind of thing. So it was the same. He just and Godin by then was already kind of on his own.
No pulling punches. What do you mean by that? In training?
Yeah, like training, he would just like. He would regularly like just beat the shit out of people, and they'd be bleeding, and he'd choke them when he would practice a technique, end up in a choke. He would just hold it until they were out, and it's like, is that really called for? I used to think that, but I'm like fucking 10 years old, 11 years old. This big Hawaiian guy is like my instructor. I'm not going to tell him what to do. So I just kind of did it, So,
and what part of Hawaii was this at?
Honolulu, just downtown Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm from Kamakee, which is just right outside of downtown Honolulu. But his dojo or gym or studio was right there in downtown Honolulu. So it wasn't really, it's kind of a. It was a small gym. It was probably like 500 square feet, and it had like a couple punching pads and mat, and that's it. And we just trained in there, and nothing fancy. And he was pretty hardcore. And like I said, the second I walked in that gym at 9 years old, I think I was almost 10, knowing I had to become tougher because Honolulu, Hawaii is a tough place to grow up, especially there. I'm not gonna say it's like fucking had to starve for food or anything, but it was a very physically rough area. People love to fight. They love to beat up haoles, which is white people. They like to fight each other. It's a rough place. Nobody can deny that. So I knew I didn't want to be that little bitch. Even at 9 years old, I knew that. So I started training, and I knew the second I walked in that gym in 1969, I knew this was it. This was it for me, for good. I had found what I found my calling. I walked in there. I walked in, met my instructor, Walter Godin, big local guy, you know, just fucking shaved head. And I was like, he's like, hey, what's up, man? Go train. And, you know, I went there, trained, and full of, you know, big local guys for the most part. And I just knew, you know, this is my home, and this is what I'm going to be in my whole life. And I never looked back. Nothing ever changed from that day. Because of him, without him, I'd be, like I said, floral dress, you know, the whole thing.
So as a Howley, as a white dude walking in there, were you one of a few?
I was I was going to say the only one, but I had a guy named Kevin Coleman, and he was one of my like, he was like 4 or 5 years older than me. So he was like one of my instructors, but he was tough as shit. And he would enter the tournaments and they would go after him, but he was really good. And Godin was a lot harder on him than he was with me. Like Godin, like, I don't know, he didn't beat the shit out of me. He used to beat the shit out of Kevin. And I'm still in touch with Kevin right now. He's still lives in Honolulu, Hawaii. He's I think he does some kind of, works at a hotel and maintenance or something, and you know, he has a simple life, and he didn't have the accolades that I did coming up. I think he had a couple tournament fights, and then he kind of got out of it. He got out of it like when I started trying to rise up. He kind of got out of it. There was some politics involved, and he got out of it, and I just got him back in. Now he's under me, so he's but that was the only other white guy. But that's one reason when Godin passed away, there was a lot of infighting, and I was already like, you know, state champ, and I was a kickboxing champ and a Golden Glove champ. So people treated, I was kind of a prima donna. I really was. I mean, people treated me a lot better than I really was. So I got kudos from everybody. I got at school, people like, they didn't bow down to me, but they treated me with like a certain kind of respect that the star quarterback got, you know? And I never played a sport in high school. Just, I was a Golden Glove champ, you know, like every year and shit like that. So I was actually a prima donna, and Kevin wasn't. So he still had to struggle, you know, and so he just got out of it, and I stayed with it. So, bang.
Hey, so with that Kaji Kimbo, because there was multiple arts, that enabled you to enter like these different types of tournaments, like boxing or kickboxing, or maybe a karate tournament if you wanted.
I don't know.
Was it just Kaji Kimbo tournaments?
No, it was all tournaments. And then I started. I threw my. When I was 13, I tore my hamstring, and I told my instructor, you know, my hamstring's hard. I can't really kick. I was more of a kicker then, like a point guy, a kicker, and I wanted to keep guys away because I didn't like getting punched in the face. So I started. So he goes, okay, then don't kick for a while. He sent me down to a local boxing gym, and he said, just work on your boxing right now. So I said, okay. So I walked in the boxing gym. The guy was like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I heard you were gonna come. You know, go put your shit on. And next thing I know, I'm fucking fighting in the Golden Gloves, and and then I went back when my hamstring healed up. I went back to Godin, but then I also was still boxing then, so I would go back and forth, and I was already kicking with Godin and boxing, and then so I had a big advantage when kickboxing got big because my hands were really good because of the boxing, and I already knew how to kick, so I kind of had advantage on a lot of people. So I did that, and then when MMA came along, I mean, that was, you know, did that too.
Came right in there. Did you ever fight any type of MMA fights yourself, sir?
They had it's way different, but it was called Anything Goes matches, and they had them in Hawaii in the mid 70s. So they, you know, just anything goes, but they didn't call it MMA. And I was 16. I lied about my age and said I was 18. And I think they knew I was lying, but they let me enter anyway.
Oh, come on in.
Yeah, so I entered a couple of them. One of them is that, have you ever watched on my, like I had a picture where I was fighting a guy with a big afro. In one of my,
I don't think we saw that one.
I'll show you later. But he was like, that was my first opponent. I was like, I was 16. I think he was like 22, and it was at the Blaisdell Center, which is our big arena, and it was like they did it like this versus this versus this, and you could do anything you want. And he was my first opponent, and I entered like 3 or 4 of them, and then they just stopped having them. So I didn't get to enter them. So they were kind of the first part of MMA back in the 70s in the United States. But if you look at it now compared to then, it was like nothing like it is now.
Is it quite a bit? It's quite a bit different now, like more brutal or more brutal back then?
I don't think brutal. I think it was brutal both ways, but the skill level, like we're good at one thing usually. Like I mean, if I had a high end grappler, I just would have got taken down. Or if he fought me and he didn't know to defend strikes, I could have knocked him out. But there wasn't the combination of both. Most people were one or the other back then. Like if you were a judo guy, you would just kind of run in and you'd take the guy down, but you wouldn't punch at all. So there wasn't mixed arts. You know, in MMA, in Kajukenbo, we learned some trips and some hip throws and shit like that, but we never learned a double leg. And we learned finishes on the ground, stomping the groin and shit like that, but we didn't learn mounts. You know, we didn't learn side control. So it's a huge difference. It wouldn't be recognizable today, but it was the best we had back then. So I thought it would be fun for me to enter.
And what about the guard? What about the guard position? Was that anything like, no, nothing like that?
What happened was you take someone down, they would try to fight you from the bottom, but there was no getting on top of you physically. Right? It was striking you, kicking you. You try to get up, or you try to kick their legs. And when you're on top, you're trying to soccer kick them or stomp them in the groin or the face. But there was nothing like no jumping, you know, pulling guard or anything like that. That came later, and I had to learn that, you know, because
that's some awesome history right there, man. Now let's jump into our little time machine and get into today's day, because I was so impressed the other night watching Glover fight Anthony Smith. How old is Glover?
He just turned 40. He just turned 40.
Dude, I couldn't believe how crisp and how fast and everything he put together in that fight. I was really impressed with that fight, man. Was there something different about the training, or just he hadn't fought a bit?
No, he's been pretty regular comparatively, but I think like from what's really been helping him, I think, you know, it's like he started with our style, so he kept that. But his boxing coach right now, who's an amateur boxing coach, and he has 2 amateur Golden Glove phenom sons that are both heavyweights, and they spar with Glover. And so his head movement and shit, that's Glover is working on a lot of head movement, because a lot of the punches you think are landing aren't really landing, and if they are, they're being deflected and not landing with their full force.
The body shots.
Yeah, he's also his jiu-jitsu guy. You know, Kaio and John. He has 2 jiu-jitsu guys that are just helping him. So when he gets on top of someone, just like his last, you know, 3 or 4 fights, once he gets on top of you, 9 out of 10 times you're going either by ground and pound, which this time, or he's going to choke you. You know, so he's got a perfect blend of pit style now with this unbelievable boxing style. And he's this uber rough and heavy jiu-jitsu style. And his conditioning has always been top of the line. But I'll tell you, a big help in his conditioning is he works our old pit stuff. But that, I mean, he tends to overdo it because nobody's there training him on that. So he's an overtrainer, not an undertrainer. So you can see that in some of his fights, like Gustafsson and Corey Anderson. He was overtrained for those fights because he's doing his own conditioning. but now he does the UFC. What do they call it? The PI wherever the UFC. The UFC
Institute.
Yeah. He does that now, and they're helping him so much. His conditioning is off the charts because a lot because of that. That really helps. And they diet him. They give him a diet. So he has their diet and their exercise program, and it's really turned a corner for him.
He seems like the kind.
Go ahead, Tom.
He does seem like the kind of guy that'll do his own thing. He'll get out there.
And he doesn't train with me full time anymore because he lives in Connecticut. And his trainers, he has a boxing trainer and he has the jiu-jitsu guys, but he takes care of his own conditioning. So when he was with me, like Chuck and everybody, I do everything. But and he's so dedicated and disciplined. He does his own, but sometimes he'll push a little too hard. Never not enough, always too much.
Is there a fine line in between for these young MMA fighters with the too much or too little?
Yeah, and most people are too little. Like there's a line right here. Like this is peaking. And you want to peak the day of the fight, not the week before the fight, not even the fucking day before the fight. If you peak the day before a fight, okay, you're going to end up here. When you're here, you fight 10 times worse than if you're just under peaked or you're just under conditioned. Because you don't want to be here like no shape at all. You want to be just about here until the day of the fight, and then you want to be here. Once you jump over even a little bit, it's worse to be here than here. Okay? So you always want to be just ride this. And then the day of the fight, you want to be peaked. And he was peaked this fight. Corey Anderson, he was here. Gustafsson, he was here. Because he overtrained. So you have to know how to peak. And if you don't, your trainer should know. And if he doesn't, you should go to some kind of fitness guy or something. But Global, I don't really believe in them because you're not doing this to be fit. You're being fit to do this.
What was the difference in this fight? What do you think the difference was there, John?
I think the fact that he followed that Sports Institute from in the UFC, and he followed their diet, and I think that was perfect for him. He followed, yeah.
So that Sport Institute, you think is pretty legit?
I think you see right there. That's
yeah.
I mean, you know, I'll take credit for some stuff, but the peaking for this fight, I give more of the credit to the diet and the exercise program that they provided him.
Yeah, he looked really good, man. I was super impressed. There was definitely a difference in that fight. One of the first times I saw Glover and actually saw you corner people was out there. You probably have some pretty good memories out there in Lemoore, California, out there at the Tachi Palace. And one of the first fights that I remember Glover was him against Carlton Jones. Remember that fight?
Yeah.
Those were some good old days, man.
Yeah. Those are fun days, man. That's when Glover was living in my guest house and teaching to pay for his team dues. He was teaching kids classes at my gym.
Now, Glover, when he originally came to you, wasn't he already a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
No. Was
he basically a jiu-jitsu guy though, or no? No.
He was actually just a rough guy that did a little bit of tough man training. Like he was going to enter a tough man competition, and a little bit of jiu-jitsu with some guy, then a little bit of boxing. So he was. How did they have him at 2-2? He wasn't at 2-2.
They probably got it wrong on there.
But he came out here. He trained. He's been doing jiu-jitsu with a lot of people, including Laborio, and then working with us. He came out here his first fight, and my guy Eric Schwartz beat him. And then I was impressed with the way he fought and his heart and his attitude. So we went in, me and him, you know, we had a little talk, and he decided he wanted to train with me. And since he lived in Connecticut, he jumped on a plane and came out here and started training with the team and became Chuck's #1 training partner. So, you know, he learned a lot that way, and became a force of his own, you know.
Now, Chuck, we have to definitely talk about Chuck a little bit, because I get when everybody found out you were coming on the show, I'd getting all these messages to ask you about Chuck Liddell, and everybody's got their own opinions and everything. But when Chuck came to you for his, like, had he fought any MMA before he got to you?
Never fought anything.
He had never done any competitions or anything, huh?
No.
How did you guys meet? How did you and Chuck Liddell meet?
His sensei, he was just doing some karate, going around different places. But one of the senseis, because he was the tough guy, thought that was his guy. But he wasn't really. He was just training in different places. And that sensei, I ran into him somewhere, and he kind of, in a roundabout way, challenged me to a fight, because I just moved here from LA. I went from Hawaii to LA to here. And he was kind of being a dick, you know. I was like, all right, well, our style is this, and we for the street. And I know you're a sport guy, and you guys aren't really effective in the street. I go, that's not true. I bet you if we fought right now, anything goes. I would beat you. He goes, okay, so he puts this match together where I'm going to fight this guy, him, the instructor. So I go down there on a Friday night to do it, and he goes, oh, you know, I've had a back injury, and you're going to go with one of my guys instead. So I was like, okay. So he threw me in with Chuck. So I whatever with Chuck. I had a little fight with Chuck, and that went how it went. But Chuck wanted me to start training him after that. So I started training Chuck the next day, and I've been training him ever since.
Yeah, Chuck seems like a pretty cool cat. Pretty good attitude and everything.
Yes.
Am I right about that? Pretty humble guy.
Oh yeah, that's why I named him the Iceman, because he's so relaxed. This had nothing to do with his fighting. This was just the way he was. He was like an Iceman, always just relaxed. So that's how we met. Yeah, and that's how.
What was your favorite knockout?
Of Chuck, Babalu won.
Oh, Babalu.
The first one.
Does Chuck still get in there and mix it up with these guys, or what?
No, not really. No, he's got some. He's got a couple like a little some joint stuff going that he's healing up from, but he's still good, man. He's still happy, and he's still training. And we set up a little gym in his garage with some heavy bags and rower and stuff like that, and airdyne bike, and so he's still training and just. He's just living the LA life, you know, like if you're a celebrity, sometimes you don't have to do anything but be a celebrity.
Is that how it is for a guy like that, or what?
Yeah, that is. Right now, that is. He's just being himself. He's just, because people like pay him to just show up places.
Oh, okay. Does he do like seminars and things like that?
No, he does appearances.
Oh,
he does. I think he does little parts too here and there for movies.
Yeah, I've seen him in a few things.
Yeah, and he's pretty good. He's pretty well taken care of, and then he spends a lot of time with his kids. You know, so between his kids and appearances, and I think he's good to go right now. I mean, we call that the Babalu kick, the one that we were training that kick over and over again, and then Chuck landed it perfectly. He landed the ball.
Yeah, the setup on that kick. Talk about that, because he set that up with some punches, didn't he?
Yeah, and then we knew Babalu would do a what do you call desperation takedown, and he leans right into Chuck's left leg, so we knew the Babalu kick would work. And that was always called the Babalu kick.
Now, can you talk a little bit about like on the strikes? Because I mean, anybody can do strikes, but the setup is a big part of it, isn't it? Like setting up a leg kick or setting up a head kick. How important is it for these guys that are training striking to learn these types of setups?
I mean, you learn the kick first, and you learn the strike first, and then I mean, there's so many different setups for each one. It's like you could just go, you could open all kind of Pandora's boxes there because it's like going to go all over the place. So everybody should like minimalize the setups, you know, like because if you have too many, then which one are you going to use? Then you have none. You know what I mean? If you got one watch, it's always the right time. If you got 5 watches, you never know what really time it is. It's like if you have too many setups, you're just like fucking lost. It's like so you go boom, this for this, this for this, this for this. So yeah, there are setups for certain techniques and certain takedowns and certain and certain kicks, certain punches, etc. But like I said, we try to keep it to a minimum. Some of the setups are started by our opponent, right? So they do this, we're going to do this right away, and there can't be too many options, or then they have no options. You know what I mean? So it's like if he does this, I'm going to do this. Because if you got to think for like a split second, okay, I got 8 things to do. If he does this, then it's too fucking late. But if you only have one thing to do when they do that, then it's gonna every time they're doing it, you're gonna respond that way. So some people think if you only have one way, then your opponent will figure it out. But by the time they try to figure it out, you already won. Or, if Mike Tyson, he didn't have fucking plans, a zillion plans. He's like, I'm gonna catch you with an uppercut, an overhand right, or a left hook. Period. That's it. That's it. I mean, that's all he had right there. And look what he. Dan Henderson had one punch, the H-bomb. That's all he did, and he made millions, and he won titles with it. So he didn't go into his toolbox and pick one of 1,000 different. He's a fucking Olympic level wrestler. He didn't even go into that toolbox much. He relied on, and everybody knew it was coming, but it still came, right? Everybody knows that fucking. I was gonna say Bustamante, but say now, Damian Maia's gonna fucking get your back and choke you out, but he still does it.
Yes.
If you become that good at your one setup or your one technique, then you're golden. If you have too many to think about in the cage, it's bad enough. If you have that many to think about in the street, then next thing you know, you're gonna be, like I said, in a fucking coma with a tracheostomy. So it has to be bang bang, and it's a minimalist ideology. And some people don't like it because they want all kind of moves and all kind of variations of everything. But to me, like a fight's a fight. Like you want 100 different workouts, but the best marathon runner in the world, this is his workout right here every fucking day, one foot in front of the other. Phelps every day they do like they'll lift a weight here and there, but 99% of the time he's just it did him pretty good. So as martial artists, we can't think of all these different workouts, all these different things. We got to think of right here. You just as soon as this lands right here, you just won the fight. It doesn't matter what else you did. As soon as you land right here, you just won the fight. Bang.
Speaking of that, me and Archie, we were talking about it before the show started. One of my favorite things that I ever saw Chuck do, and he used quite a bit, was that looping left hook. He seemed to do quite well. Was that something that he got from you? Is that something he came with?
He didn't have a hook. He didn't know what a hook was before me. So yeah, he got it from me.
Now, is that looping left hook, was that meant to set up a right, or because he landed that quite a bit?
Yeah. No, it's not meant to set up anything. You can set up a left right with it, or if it lands like it did against Kevin Randleman, knocks him out. I mean, there's tons of left hooks, from every different angle. But yeah, he had his style. I mean, everybody has their own style, and I don't try to have them do my style. because I fought a certain way and I don't want them to fight my way. So I give them, I just try to correct their style that I see them having, and it has to be their own. I don't try to go in and change it. And then I just try to make it, see how it's going to work better. Chuck had his own style. Glover has his own style. Court has his own style. Ramsey, everybody has their own style. They're nothing like each other, right? But if you notice, I just try to make their style better, even if it's a grappler. And I don't even like grappling, but I know how important it is. So I respect it, and I try to make their grappling better, or I try to make their setups for the grappling better. So so Chuck. That was Chuck's thing, and he learned it from me, but he put his own twist on it.
And Chuck, did he have some college wrestling when he came in?
Yeah, he was a college wrestler, and he did some like this kind of karate stuff. So yeah, so when he came to me, that's what he had, and then we went from there.
So what about that knockout power that he has? Did he kind of all of it? When did you guys notice that, or how did he train for knockout shots, or how did that take place?
Yeah, I mean we're more of a power punching system than not, and to be honest, like his right hand, we set that up a lot because that was his favorite tool, his right hand. Like Glover's more hooks, Chuck was more of a straight right hand. So that was his bread and butter. So that's what we tried to work his strategies around. Whereas Glover has more of a he has more arcing punches, overhand right hook, left hook. He doesn't do as many straight punches, and Chuck had more straight punches. He had a looping hook and an overhand, but most of his stuff was based out of straight punches.
Man, I used to love that wild like overhand that Chuck would throw in his fights.
Yeah, we work a lot on that one, the baseball, like you're throwing a baseball. And
is that the idea behind that?
Yep.
Effective.
A lot of people, what?
Very effective.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like in the beginning, it was too looping and they didn't like it. But then when it started knocking everyone out, and I used to always think, like, have you never watched Tyson or fucking Fedor fight? I mean but with Chuck, it was like, oh, it's too looping, but he was knocking people out with it. So
yeah,
it seemed like it worked pretty good.
Yep, seemed like it worked pretty good to me. So what's next for Glover? Anything yet?
No. He didn't hear anything yet. He's good. He's good anywhere.
Is he back in Connecticut?
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. He was a lot of times after his fights, and he might do it this fight, but with all the travel stuff, he might not. He has a beautiful family in Brazil, like a little farming community, and he's very close with them. And it's like little. I mean, like they throw when he fights, they have like the streets are clogged with like people beeping their horn, and like it's like a parade every time he fights, and that's in the streets. People love Glover. People all over love Glover. But his town, he always goes back and hangs out with his buddies and his parents and his family. So he usually tries to do that after every fight. He doesn't know if he can this fight because of the travel restrictions and stuff. So we'll see.
Tom, we had a question earlier by Daniel Islas. He was just wanting to know a little bit about technique.
Daniel's one of our local guys that he was pretty stoked when you were coming on today, and he has this question.
Okay.
And as far as technique, though, I mean, if you could just talk about one of your favorite techniques. You talked about self-defense, but what's a technique that you can teach anyone that they'll pick up, or what's one of your best techniques that get through people right away?
There's two. I think without a doubt.
And can you demonstrate? Go ahead.
Okay, without a doubt, the most effective strike in the street for a non-training martial artist. So if you're just going to go learn one technique, okay, you have to bring a pad, right? And then you have to. Can you hear me with it? Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, definitely.
Here, maybe try this way. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yep.
we're good.
So if you have a pad, like this kind of pad or any kind of paddle or something, right? And you just tell someone, okay, hit it as hard as you can. Don't tell them how to hit it. Just say, hit this as hard as you can. And whatever strike they throw, that's their strike that they should practice the most. That's their go-to. Okay.
So whatever comes out naturally.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because unless they're going to train extensively, then they won't. If they're not going to train, then you should teach them everything with that one strike because they're not learning anything else. So it's a waste of time. Now, if somebody's going to be a martial artist and train with me, for the street, without a doubt, the best strike is always the hook. Because if I go in here and tell you, if I say, okay, show me your best strike, very few people are just gonna go, they're not gonna do that because it's not natural. It's their non, what do you call side, right? Their non-dominant side.
Yeah.
So if you throw me a ball and ask me to throw it, I'm going to throw it with my dominant side, my right side every time. But the same is true with fighting. So 99% of people, if you put a pad out there and you say hit it, they're not going to throw a reverse punch like karate unless they've done karate a long time. They're just going to step in and throw that haymaker like Dan Henderson, right? So that's most people's best strike. But if you can train somebody, it's always going to be the left hook. Because the left hook, you can hit it when they're coming in. You can hit them when they're there. You can hit them if they're walking in towards you. You can hit it while you're going in towards them. It is the most versatile strike in the world.
Nice.
And it's the best for the street and the cage. So I would teach them that. But if it's a self-defense seminar, right, I would teach them their go-to. And if somebody grabs them, I always say go right for the eyes.
Oh.
Always in the street.
In the street. Yeah, you get the eyes, it's over. Or it's a setup to being close to over. Now Daniel also, he's a up and coming young fighter, and we've met Daniel. He's got a lot of drive. This kid, I really like him a lot. He seems like the kind of kid that if he could go, you know what I mean? He's got the work ethic. He's a shorter fighter, and he wants to know, in your opinion, like what's one of your favorite setups to get in on a guy to close the distance? Is there certain like a strike combo that you like, or is there anything you can recommend?
Does he want to get in for a takedown, or
to get in and do some either a takedown or get in and do some clinch fighting, some clinch striking, maybe knees or elbows?
Yeah, if you want, to me, the best combination for me for a takedown is a jab.
A jab.
Okay. Now for my advanced guys, it's usually, and this goes back to what's their thing. Like for my top fighters, like Antonio Banuelos or Isaiah Rocha or something like that, it's what's your favorite combination? Combination and a shot. So whatever it is, when I say combination and shot, I want the same combination every time. Because if you start mixing it up and you get in a fight, you're going to forget which one you should do, and then you're not going to do them at all. So I think the best combination if somebody's not a proficient wrestler for a takedown is a jab. Because the jab goes high, right? You're stepping in, now you're in for the shot. Okay? For a clinch, I want 4 punches straight. Because that 1, 2, 3, 4, as soon as someone covers up, you're in for the clinch. You can start with the tie clinch. You can go into an over-under. You can drop down to a double leg. But the tie clinch, I like to start with a tie clinch because if they put their head forward and you're kneeing them and they don't bring their head up, knee them until they drop, right? And you can just keep kneeing them. But if they bring their head up, you can drop for a double leg. Okay, if they bring their head up a little, you can take one hand and you can get an over/under, or even break away with an elbow. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 clinch, knee, or if it's just a double leg, it's going to be double leg shot. So you come in with a shot, jab. Jab to the face, just real quick, pop shot. And you pretend you're grabbing their face and you're pulling them in to the shot. So you don't jab and then shoot. You jab while you shoot while you're jabbing. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. So you're getting a reaction out of them with that jab.
I'm out of breath, bro. Holy shit.
This is great.
And Daniel, our boy Daniel.
Hold on, I gotta check my pulse. I think I just
don't fucking have a stroke on us, bro.
I have a heart murmur. No, I'm joking. What's up?
Hey, Daniel, man, he likes to get in there. He likes to scrap from inside the pocket, like more than he likes to get in there and knees and elbows.
He should do two things. Keep his head moving and always be off center. You always want your opponent in front of you, but you never want to be in front of them. Always, 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 always. And you should always move your head, because if I'm moving a target like this, you're going to have a hard time hitting. That's how you teach people about moving their head. Let them hit a moving target and then say, that should be your head. Now hit a moving target. Keep it one place. It's 10,000 times easier. So just like Glover with this fight, this was a huge head movement was a huge factor in this fight that Glover just had. Huge.
And a lot of people probably wouldn't even recognize that are watching it from the outside.
I knew it from the first round. I was like watching the first round, and I was like, I knew he lost the first round, but people thought he took a lot more damage than he really did. And when I watched it again on slow motion, I was like, shit, he rode with almost every punch. A couple got through, but he was never in danger at all.
And Anthony Smith, man, is no slouch for anybody that watched that fight. That dude is a tough dude.
Check him out tomorrow on our podcast.
How can people watch your podcast, brother? Where are you on? What's the easiest way?
I'm just like so random with it. The guy I do it with, he's an orthopedic surgeon in town, and he puts it up on SoundCloud. So it's always on SoundCloud. But like sometimes I put it on YouTube, sometimes I put it on Facebook, and I just get random with it. I just like, because to me it's just fun. We have I think we have 160 already. So
you could always depend on going to SoundCloud and listening to it at a later date, then, right? I mean, even doesn't matter when you do it.
He's like the guy that always he's the one that takes off the audio and always puts it on SoundCloud. Yep. And then I get the video and I put it somewhere. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. But he always puts it on SoundCloud. So they're all on SoundCloud.
And you need to get on Spotify, bro. Get that $1 million contract.
We have 7 listeners. I couldn't believe Tony Robbins was on. I was like, I told Tony, I was like, bro, I appreciate you coming on his podcast because we got 7 people listening. So whatever.
So Daniel says a lot of slipping drills are good.
What are we on right now?
I know we're on Facebook and YouTube Live.
Yeah. Okay. We're still real new, brother.
What?
We're still very new at this, but that's why we're so thankful you came on.
Daniel said hi. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Thanks for coming. So anyway, what else? Yeah, slipping. It's you gotta combine slipping. Well, slipping is basically bobbing. We call it bobbing. You can be slipping with weaving, like Mike Tyson. And then just fucking erratic movement. It doesn't even matter where your head is. Like you move it back, you move it forward, move it to the side, you slip, you weave. Sometimes you just duck under. You just keep your head moving. And there should be no rhythm to it. Because once there's a rhythm to it, then your opponent will figure that rhythm out and time you. You should never be timed. A really good guy at that, and he wasn't so good this last fight, is Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz has a lot of erratic movement, okay, and it usually works for him. This fight, he just wasn't. He didn't look effective at all, but usually he does. And that erratic movement with his feet and stuff, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I do like erratic movement with your head, just all the time moving, because you're harder to hit. You just are. And like I said, if you want to try that out, have somebody hold a pad for you and just start moving it all over the place and try to hit it. You won't get a good shot in. So always move your head and always be off center. Like I'm centered with myself right now. Okay, so I can beat myself a lot easier. That's a bad example because I'm myself. But my point is, if you're off center to them, but they're still right in front of you. You know what I mean? So you're over there to them, but you're still in on them. You can hit them with more tools and more weapons than they can hit you. So you always want to be. You know who's the best one? I shouldn't even talk anymore. I'll just Lomachenko. Lomachenko is like a fucking textbook of angles and footwork. He's the best. His head movement's good too, but he's footwork and angles. He's always at an angle. Lomachenko is the best angle fighter. He's probably the best boxer today, but he's definitely the best at that. So go look up some of Lomachenko's highlight reels and shit, Daniel, and your angling will be answered. All your angling questions will be answered.
And how do you think like both in their prime, like how a boxer like Mike Tyson would do with Lomachenko? Would that be interesting? Is it quite a bit different? Is it different? A lot different today than it was with Tyson?
No, it's not. No, it's not that. It's Tyson's the heavyweight, and Lomachenko weighs 130. So if they were both the same weight,
you know what I mean though. Just the style. If they were in the same category,
then it would be Lomachenko would be the angle, and the problem with that is if it came up, it depends how much power he had, because he could angle Tyson all day long, but when you're fighting someone with that power, all it takes is the one punch. That's why with a lot of fights that Chuck had, it was like you could angle him all day long, you could take him down, you could do this and this, but then one punch, the fight's over, he wins. So their sense of urgency is on you, because you got to be urgent. You got to take him down, hold him down, submit him, do something, because once he lands that one punch, the fight's over. And the same goes with Tyson. But Lomachenko, if they're both heavyweights, maybe Lomachenko's power would be that high too. Then he would probably beat him. I think if Lomachenko had the same power, but Tyson has good footwork too. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know which would be more effective, because I've never seen a person with as effective footwork as Lomachenko fight someone with as effective striking and footwork as Tyson. But it'll be a good match.
Well, Tyson's got a marijuana ranch now, so we don't got to worry about that.
Does he?
Hey, but on a serious note, man, because here in the Central Valley, there's not a lot to do. And me and Archie, we come across a lot of these young fighters, and now we don't have we don't got Porterville, the casino. They're not fighting right now. We don't have Lemoore fighting. What we do have is a lot of amateur fights where there's a lot of these young kids that are fighting. They're not fighting for any kind of money, but they are taking a lot of amateur fights. And a lot of these kids, they do have high hopes of moving up. And all of them have the hope of going into the UFC or Bellator, one of these big shows. What is some of the best advice that you could give, not just for these young fighters that they're putting it on the line? I know some of these kids that got 10 fights already, they're not getting paid a dime. They want to go pro. And there's these coaches that have the high hope for their youngster. What is the best advice you could give these young kids and these coaches to get their guy up to the next level? Like what should they have in mind? What's one of the most important things for these young guys?
Versatility.
What do you mean by that?
They gotta be versatile on they gotta be versatile on their training and their learning, but they should be focused on their strength. You know what I mean? Like Chuck, right? He had great takedown defense. He focused on his knockouts, power, but he also worked on he was versatile. He worked a lot on his jiu-jitsu, cutting off the bottom, takedown defense, but then he focused on his power to knock someone out. So like Damian Maia, focuses on his chokes and his submissions, but he's versatile, where he works on his takedowns because he wasn't getting good takedowns before. So he works on his takedowns, his striking defense. So you got to work on your strengths. You got to focus on your strengths, but you got to work on and try to put a hole or take them out of the equation, your weaknesses. Everybody's going to have a weakness here and there, but you want to have as little as possible, because you're never going to hear Joe Rogan say, wow, that guy hardly has any weaknesses. That's really a bad thing, because it's not a bad thing. So you should work on your weaknesses and be versatile in your training and go out of your comfort zone and not do this just because you don't like it. If it's part of the game, you have to like it. If you don't like it, then change games. Like if you only like striking, you don't like takedown defense or anything, go to kickboxing. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy or a grappler, you don't like getting punched in the face a lot, go to grappling tournaments. So, stay with your strength as a grappler, but work on your weaknesses as a striker and defending striker. And always know that you have to go out of your comfort zone, and you got to train like you have a UFC. Pretend Dana's going to call you this coming Saturday. Always. You always have to train like Dana's going to call you Saturday. And if you dog it between fights, then you're just kind of a half-assed fighter. But if you're always ready to fight this weekend, that means you're dedicated.
I like that.
Yeah. I love it too, man.
My guys have to hear that all the time.
This has been really cool, John. We really appreciate you taking the time again, man. Just thank you for that. Really.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Good luck to all the guys. Good luck to Daniel. If he needs anything, hit me up on Facebook. Send me a personal message. If you need any help personally, this is what I do. I don't care if every person in the planet right now, if they need help with martial arts, self-defense, or if you want to be an MMA superstar, I can do a little of both. I've juggled both before. So if you want to be a UFC guy, I can help you get there somehow, even if it's just advice or training, or if you want to stay safe in the street, not get your ass whooped in front of your wife so she never has sex with you again, then I can help you do that too.
And there's a lot of online training right now, John. I mean, I would figure that this is great for you to get online and do some of this one-on-one training, but it's over the
course. I do have an online dojo, which I've had for a couple of years now. And if you, I'll put the link. If I send you the link, if you put, how do I type it on this one?
In here, I'm gonna send you a message within the program.
Oh, I go live. Oh, that's private chat. Okay. So if I go private chat, if I do I think I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna see if it works. Bing. Yeah. Okay, there's my link.
Okay, and I'm gonna put it on right now.
Okay, that's my link to my online course. It's not an online course. I have an online left hook course. I have an online takedown defense course, but this one is my online dojo. Like if you want to go through the ranks from white to black belt in Hawaiian Kempo, we're doing it online. It's like, people are telling me not to do it. You can't do a good job, yada, yada. Man, some of my best students right now are online. And I get to know them. I've even had a couple guys visit me from out of, different states. I have a couple guys in UK, in like Guam, in New Zealand. And I love it, man. I love, this happened before the coronavirus thing too. Wow. And I just have people that could train with me all over, and it's working out really good. So
it's really great to see you.
What?
I was going to say, it's really great to see you using the technology and using it today. And,
yes,
it's an opportunity for us to just kind of connect in different ways. So that's awesome. You're communicating that way and teaching your classes.
Yeah, and I treat them just like my regular students. They're my regular students. Like when I do classes now, they're just all online. So like when I do my class, I got 30 people in the class right there. And then the camera's always going. So I'm watching them train too. And then they're watching my other guys train. And like I said, some of the guys know each other now through social media, and we have a private Facebook group where my in-house students and my online students and my affiliate students all connect, and it's pretty cool.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep. And Daniel, man, don't be afraid to take that trip out to SLO. It's not that far from here. Go out to SLO and help.
Hit me up. Or you just hit me up. If you want to just hit me up, I'll help you out all I can. You want to come out here, come on out. So like we're a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yep. And you get to be at the beach at the same time.
There's no downside. There's no downside.
There's no downside to that. That's for sure.
There's no
Maybe
downside
me and Archie do another show called Inside the Dojo. It's one of our more favorite things to do, where we take a trip around to the different schools, and maybe we could stop in sometime and check out one of your classes. That'd be awesome.
Always welcome, bro. Always welcome.
Well, it was great, man. It was awesome talking to you. You got any sponsors or anybody out there you want to give a little shout out to before we close it up?
No.
All right.
So here's a little comment from Daniel. Says he's going to go out there.
And you guys are welcome here, and thanks for coming. And if you guys want to train me in house, you know where I am. If you want to go online, train with me. Right now is the link. The link is somewhere. And don't let anyone take your lunch money, guys. Do not let anyone take your lunch money. That's what. You go through your life saying, "I love my life. I'm living a vacation, and I'm never going to let anyone take my lunch money, and you'll never be sad again."
And look people in the eyes, straight up. Well,
I'm going to look Daniel in the eyes. I'm going to give Daniel a mean look. Pretend this is you right here, Daniel. I'm giving you a mean look, right? I'm giving Daniel a look right now.
There it is.
You better be scared. You better be scared. All right, guys. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
we're going to let you out of here, John. We're going to let you out.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Peace.
Thank you, John.
I got it.
Let's not close out the live, though, because I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. So run those sponsors back across. And guys, everybody who tunes into the show, either now or later,
you making millions off of this?
So I think so.
Are you guys making millions?
No.
We're not at the Joe Rogan status.
You know what, man? I haven't made $1 doing this. But to me, being able to talk to someone like you and be able to talk to Gracie and these other guys I get to talk to is worth a lot to me, man. So it's been great. Plus, it's like a mental therapy for me. They wanted me to go see a psychologist. Talking to you for this last hour has been better than any psychologist I could have went to. And I mean that from right here, dude.
Thanks, man. Well, anything we do, man, we're here. We're here for you guys. Remember, train hard, live clean, fight dirty. Don't let anyone take your lunch money. Okay?
Fucking poke somebody in the eyes if you can, if you have to.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, John.
Take care, John. Don't forget that great book.
So stay live for a second here.
Oh, we're live, all of us?
No, you can go. You're free to go, my brother. I'll let you go. Thank you. I just got to give a shout out to the sponsors.
What's up, man?
All right, there you have it, guys. Daniel, thank you for the questions, man. We appreciate it, Daniel. And Daniel, you come and train with me and Archie one of these times, dude. And you can get some garage training in with me or Archie. And yeah, it's nothing but love. To our sponsors, Real Acai Bowls in Fresno, guys. I say it all the time, but there's a lot of acai out there. I just had one the other day down the street. Wasn't really that good. You want a real acai bowl with the real deal, the real fruit, and with some real good toppings. Rio Acai in Fresno, hella good. Damn good. It's the real thing. It's not high fructose corn syrup. It's actually real acai in a bowl. It's really good. You can get all the toppings. Dollar Bill Auto Sales in Visalia. Guys, if you need a deal, you're looking for a car, used or new, and maybe you don't have the money to go out there and get some crazy car, go check them out. They'll hook you up. They got plenty of deals. There's all types of different vehicles. We love these guys. They've been helping us out. Dollar Bill Auto Sales. And Archie, I know you might have a few other people that I'm missing. La Enchilada, for one, I got to say, guys, I go to taco trucks every week, man. There's a taco truck on every corner, but not all are created equal. Just like the acai, they're not all created equal. If you want a good burrito, asada, or maybe some El Pastor, or maybe some carnitas, I'm talking real salsa, the roasted shit, not out of a damn bottle. The real stuff with real crema, the good stuff. Tortillas, burritos, tacos, enchiladas. They got horchata. They got Jamaica. Hey, as a white, for a white, I know, for a white boy, I'm saying it pretty good. J.L. Lewis, the pitmaster, is legend. Yes, he is. Hey, man, that was a freaking honor, dude, talking to that guy, guys.
Great show.
It was a great show. Lately, man, our show, we still don't have many viewers. I hope anybody that watches this show, hey, help us out, man. Hit the like button. Share it. If you can just share the show on any other social media account, you help us in some way or another. Me and Archie, we're not making like millions of dollars or anything like Joe Rogan. But what we are doing is we're learning from each one of these guys. And hopefully anybody who listens to this, you might listen to this on the way to work. You might be out on a run like I do. I'll do the show and I'll go out running and I'll listen to it just to hear it again, or any podcast I listen to. Hey, help us out and pass it on to the next guy, because I guarantee in each one of these shows that we do, there's some tip of advice. Like, I learned a whole bunch right now from John Hackleman, dude. How often do you get to learn something from John Hackleman, Chuck Liddell, Glover Teixeira, Jason Von Flew, Antonio Banuelos? Too many to name. That guy's been in the corners of some of the best guys in the world. And dude, Chris Ronquillo, thank you for saying great job. That was an honor, dude. Like our last episode, we talked with Crosley Gracie, dude. The basic, I don't care what jiu-jitsu school you train at, you know, who you think you're training with and how good you might be. Hey, watch that episode, man. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I rewatched it on my run yesterday, and just hearing some of the basic things that Crosley had to say, dude, it brought the hairs up on the back of my neck. And I'm not just saying that to be cocky. I'm very pleased, man. I'm really, really pleased with what me and Archie and Chris Ronquillo, Xavier Ortega, John Carlton, these are our guys. James Gillian, these are our guys, and that's a small group that we have. Hey, dude, and we're going to continue to do it. Hey, and our next episode on Tuesday, guys, one of the guys that I was – this guy is tremendous. One of the coolest guys that you will ever meet. Today was MMA. Tuesday, we're going back into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world. We have Sandro Batata Santiago. I probably just murdered the guy's name. His name, he goes by Batata. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from Gracie Barra, Brazil. He's a loop choke master. The guy's known for the loop choke. If you train Jiu-Jitsu with the gi, you'll know what the loop choke is. He's a super cool guy. He's a surfer. He's a great family man. He's a father. What I like about him most, what I really like about the guy most is the love that he gives to his son. And he's a father, and he gives loves to his students. And we used to travel up and train with the guy. And man, the jiu-jitsu from this guy is top notch. He's a little guy. It's a different style of jiu-jitsu. But anyhow, we got Batata on Tuesday at 2 p.m., guys. And it's just going to keep getting better from that. We have Ken Shamrock. There's a good chance we're going to have the legend Ken Shamrock going to be on the show here pretty soon. And so, yeah, we're not going to stop, guys. We're going to keep the show going. I thank everybody for tuning in. And that's Batata right there. And man, it's going to keep getting better and better. Hopefully we'll get more sponsors, and hopefully someday somebody will teach me and Archie how to get this show onto Spotify or one of these big connections. And maybe who knows, we might make some money off it later on. We're going to keep doing it no matter what. Tell a friend, guys, and keep us in your you want something good to listen to, or you just want to see an ugly face, Archie there. or James or myself. But yeah, thank you guys a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you on Tuesday, 2 p.m., guys. Tuesday at 2 p.m. That's the next show. Anything I missed, big guy?
You got it. No, everything's great. It's been a great journey. We're going to continue this, and appreciate everyone involved. Appreciate everybody, the guests, and thank you for joining in, everyone.
Yep. Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Daniel.